Buen dia todos! I hope you all have a great day and will be having a great day because today I'm gonna take you to the land of biodiversity and the land where spring is never ending, the country of Ecuador. But before all of that, my name is Jessa Marie Tortosa, a second-year student taking up Bachelor of Science in Tourism Management. So, Ecuador is a country in the northern western South America. It is one of the most environmentally diverse countries in the world, and it has contributed notably to the environmental sciences. It has a rich cultural heritage, and much of what is now Ecuador came to be included in the Inca Empire, the largest political unit of pre-Columbian America. So, this is the Ecuadorian flag, but do you know that before this flag came to be, there were lots of flags that they've used in the past. So now, we are going to look each of the flags that have been used before. Or in short, we are going to look at the history of Ecuadorian flag. Throughout its history, there have existed many variations of the Ecuadorian flag. During the era of the Spanish Empire, the Cruz de Borgoña or the Cruz of Burgundy was used from 1534 until 1820 as a general flag for the Spanish colonial empire. So this one, the Cruz of Burgundy flag of the Spanish colonial empire flew over Ecuador for many years. Then, during the first rebellion for independence between 1809 and 1812, the flag of the Quitanian Revolution was used. It was a copy of the Cruz of Burgundy, but with the colors reversed. Okay, so you can see here, the leaders of a rebellion against the Spanish authorities raised a reverse cross of Burgundy flag in Quito on 10 August 1809. The uprising was defeated in 1812. Upon Ecuadorian independence in 1820, the first national flag was raised. 5 stripes alternating between light blue at the top and white 3 stars inside the middle stripe. The stars symbolized the departments in which Ecuador was divided. A flag with 5 horizontal stripes and 3 stars in the middle stripe. The flag subsequently became that of the Guayas province and was first raised by the patriots in the liberation of 9 October 1820. 2 years later, the flag was changed to a white rectangle with the top left corner in light blue with 1 white star. The previous flag was changed by decree of 2 June 1822. The flag of the Free Province of Guayaquil shall be white and its first quarter blue with a centered star. So this one. When Ecuador became part of Gran Colombia in 1822, it assumed the country's new flag is 3 stripes consisting of yellow, pale blue, and red, with a coat of arms in the middle. Ecuador was subsumed into Gran Colombia, during which time the Colombian horizontal tricolor became definitive. Although Ecuador seceded from that union in 1830, the flag was retained until 1845. The coat of arms was changed when Ecuador left the Union of Gran Colombia in 1830. In 1835, a fifth national flag was promulgated, removing the coat of arms and darkening the shade of blue. Here is where we find the origin of today's Ecuadorian flag and why it is so similar to the Colombian and Venezuelan flags. This is the first flag used officially by Ecuador after its separation from Gran Colombia. The Revolution Marxista or March of Revolution of 1845 saw the return of the light blue and white design, with 3 vertical stripes, white first, and 3 white stars in the center of light blue stripe. During the 1845 Marxist Revolution, the pale blue and white colors returned, but as a vertical tricolor of white, blue, white, with 3 white stars in the central stripe. But later in the year, the shade of blue was darkened slightly, and 4 more stars were added, a design that lasted until 1860, until the modern-day flag was finally adopted in 1900. Gabriel Garcia Moreno, upon assuming power 2 days after the Battle of Guayaquil, reinstated the tricolor flag of Greater Colombia on 26 September 1860. In 1900, the flag was made the definitive national standard, and the coat of arms was added for official state use. In addition to the national flag, Ecuador's 24 provinces each have their own flags as well. For example, the province of Guayas still retains as its provincial flag the design of the first national flag issued in 1820. Students and military cadets must, by law, pledge allegiance to the national flag in a declaration known as the Juramento a la Bandera. All in all, there were 8 Ecuadorian flags that have been used before they could decide on which one they would declare as the national standard. So now we are done with its history, and let's move on to the designs of the Ecuadorian flags. The current design of the Ecuador national flag is the result of years of varying designs. The inspiration for the design of the flag of the Republic of Ecuador was the pioneer of the well-known South American independence, General Francisco de Miranda. The same design was later adopted by the republics of Ecuador, Colombia, and Venezuela. These 3 countries formed the Confederation from 1822 until 1930, when each was converted into an independent nation. The flag continues to be the same for all 3 sovereign states, with only small differences distinguishing from another. The flag of Ecuador has 3 horizontal stripes, from the bottom to the top. The colors are red, blue, and yellow. The yellow color stands for fertility, means the land with its rich soils. The yellow stripe's width is twice bigger than other stripes on the flag, symbolizing the vast fields of Ecuador. The blue color stands for clarity, means clear sky and ocean. The red color stands for sacrifice, the blood of heroes who sacrificed themselves in the name of their own homeland. Without the sacrifice, there is no freedom. This aspect alone speaks a lot about the people who are not willing to live under tyranny of any kind. Now let's move on to the coat of arms. It was then President of Ecuador, Eloy Alfaro Delgado, who formalized the elements that, until today, distinguish the state of the Republic of Ecuador, which are represented in the coat of arms. The condor, with outspread wings, lifted into fight position. It is a symbol of energy and effort. Laurel represents the nation's glory. Oval, its contour is double-edged, color brown with the same color joints both above and below. Golden sun signifies gold, important for the first settlers, which is found in the middle with the signs of the zodiac. Signs of the zodiac: to the left, Gemini and Cancer; to the right, Aries and Taurus, which represents March, April, May, and June, months during which important events took place that reaffirmed the Ecuadorian nationality. Chimborazo, the highest volcano, its perpetual snow, is the source of the Guaya River. National flags. There are 4, 2 on each side, front and rear, with cullis under consular pieces. Palma represents the peace of the nation. Ribbon, silk. Flagpoles. There are 4 and they crown each of the flags, which are inclined with diamond and metal tips. Caduceus, crowned by 2 wings and surrounded by 2 snakes, attribute of Mercury. It is a symbol of navigation and commerce. A river of Guayas gradually widens to fill the bottom of the oval. On the sides, there are lush green shores and expression of a national agriculture. Steamship Guayas. In 1841, it was the first built in South America, in the shipyards of Guayaquil. The ship is a caduceus mast. The colors of the ship and its flag located in the bow are those of the national flag. Consular pieces. Insignia of the consuls of Rome, a symbol of authority and dignity. Axe. Large axe that formed part of one of the faces of the Roman lectors. All main symbols are located over the oval shield, a symbol of protection and safety of Ecuador land. It was designed by Pedro Pablo Traversari Salazar, a famous Ecuador composer and doer. So, that is how and the meaning of the Ecuadorian flag designs. Now, since we're talking about flags, I'm gonna introduce you to the national anthem of Ecuador. The national anthem of Ecuador is Salve o Patria, meaning we salute you, our homeland. It is the national anthem of Ecuador. Yes. The lyrics were written in 1865 by the poet Juan Leon Mera under the request of the Ecuadorian Senate. The music was composed by Antonio Newman. So, that is the end of our talk about the Ecuadorian flag, about its history and designs. So, if you ever visit Ecuador in September and suddenly see a lot of proud people carrying their national tricolor symbols, don't be surprised. You've encountered a special event, which is more important for the citizens of Ecuador, their National Flag Day, which is celebrated on September 26 each year. Now, let's move on to the history of Ecuador. The history of Ecuador can be divided into 3 parts. First is early Ecuador, independent Ecuador, and the 21st century Ecuador. Let's start with the early Ecuador.
The native people of Ecuador grew crops of maize, beans, potatoes, and squash. They kept dogs and guinea pigs for meat. Many of them were skilled potters and metal workers in gold, silver, and copper. However, in the late 15th century, they were conquered by the Incas. The Spaniards first sighted the coast of Ecuador in 1526, and they soon turned to conquest. The Spaniards conquered what is now Ecuador in 1534. The Spaniards had already conquered the Incas in what is now Peru. However, Inca resistance continued further north. Francisco Pizarro's follower, Sebastián de Benalcázar, led another army into Ecuador from the south, and he gradually crushed the remaining Incas' resistance in the region. In 1534, the Spaniards founded the city of Quito on the remains of a captured Inca city. Guayaquil was founded in 1535, and Cuenca was founded in 1557. However, the diseases brought by the Spaniards, especially smallpox, killed many more of the native people than the soldiers. With no resistance to European diseases, the people of Ecuador were decimated. Meanwhile, much of the land and people of Ecuador were shared out among the Spaniards. They owned large estates which were worked by native people who were serfs. The Spanish also brought slaves from Africa to Ecuador to work on sugar plantations. That is why today you can see many Ecuadorians are of mixed race, part Spanish, part native South American, and part African. In the 16th and 17th centuries, Ecuador was part of the Viceroyalty of Peru, but after 1563, it was allowed some autonomy. Quito became the capital and it prospered partly because it was on the road between Lima and Cartagena. The bishopric of Quito was founded in 1545. However, in the 1690s, Ecuador suffered more epidemics which decimated the population. Then, in 1717, Ecuador was made part of the Viceroyalty of Nueva Granada. It was returned to Peru in 1723 but became part of Nueva Granada again in 1740. In the 18th century, Ecuador suffered an economic recession. Furthermore, in the late 18th century and the early 19th century, the people of Ecuador, like other South Americans, became discontented with Spanish rule. People in Quito held an uprising on August 8, 1809, but it was quickly crushed. Ecuador broke away again in 1820 and the people appealed to Simon Bolivar for help. His lieutenant, Antonio Jose de Socer, won the Battle of the Pichincha on 24 May 1822, which guaranteed Ecuadorian independence. Ecuadorian became part of Gran Colombia with Colombia and Venezuela. So now let's move on to the independent Ecuador. In 1828 and 1829, Ecuador was involved in a war with Peru over the border. However, Ecuador withdrew from Gran Colombia in 1830. The new country took its name from the Spanish word for equator. A Venezuelan general, Juan Jose Flores, became the first president of Ecuador. He reigned from 1831 to 1835 and from 1839 to 1845. Meanwhile, slavery was abolished in Ecuador in 1851.
There were tensions between the different regions of Ecuador. In 1859, Ecuador split. This was known as the Terrible Year of Ecuador. But thankfully, Gabriel Garcia Moreno quelled the rebellions and made Ecuador a single nation again. In 1861, he made himself a president. Moreno was a conservative who ruled with a heavy hand. However, he did restore order and promoted economic development. He also made Roman Catholicism the state religion. However, and unfortunately, Moreno was assassinated in 1875. General Ignacio de Ventimiglia succeeded him. He ruled as a dictator of Ecuador until 1884 when constitutional government was restored. In the late 19th and early 20th century, Ecuador's economy flourished. Panama hats were made in the country and exports of cocoa bones. In 1895, a military coup brought a liberal named Eloy Alfaro to power. He was president from 1895 to 1901 and from 1906 to 1911. Under him, the power of the church was restricted. Civil marriage and divorce were introduced. However, in 1925, conservative officers overthrew the region. Like the rest of the world, Ecuador suffered from the economic depression of the 1930s. There was also political instability and quick succession of presidents. Furthermore, in 1941, Peru invaded and occupied the south of Ecuador. In 1942, Ecuador was forced to surrender some of its territories by the Rayo Protocol. Also, the city of Guayaquil was severely damaged by an earthquake in 1942. After about 10 years, the boom ended and political instability returned. In 1963, a period of military rule began. A junta ruled Ecuador until 1966. Then after a period of civil rule, the army took power again in 1972. In 1976, a coup took place led by a group of officers who promised to return the country to civil rule. Democracy returned to Ecuador in 1979. Oil was discovered in 1967 and it soon became Ecuador's main export. Other exports are shrimp, bananas, coffee, cocoa, and sugar. In the 1970s, Ecuador's economy prospered, mostly due to oil. However, in the 1980s, the price of oil fell dramatically. Ecuador was gripped by recession. There was also high inflation and high unemployment. Ecuador's economic problems continued in the 1990s and grew worse at the end of the decade with severe inflation. Jamil Mahuad was elected president in 1988, but under him, the crisis grew worse. In January 2000, indigenous peoples, led by the Confederación de Nacionalidades Indígenas del Ecuador, CONAIA, joined with the soldiers to remove Jamil Mahuad from power. He was replaced by the Vice President Gustavo Noboa. He soon proved to be a competent leader who ushered in a wave of reforms, and under his rule, recovery began. Meanwhile, Ecuador fought under undeclared war with Peru over its border. The fighting began in 1995 and ended in 1988 when a peace treaty was signed. So that's when the 21st century Ecuador began. In the early 21st century, poverty in Ecuador declined. In 2006, Rafael Correa was elected president of Ecuador. He was re-elected in 2009 and 2013. Meanwhile, in 2008, Ecuador adopted a new constitution. In 2020, the population of Ecuador was 17 million. The economy is growing, although it's still heavily dependent on the oil industry. And today, tourism industry is a fast-growing industry in Ecuador. So that is the end of the long history of Ecuador. So let's now move on to the basic facts and figures of Ecuador. So, basic facts and figures of Ecuador. Ecuador is also known as República del Ecuador, Republic of Ecuador. Head of state and government president was Guillermo Lasso. Capital is Quito. Population is 17,612,000 people, estimated year 2021. Form of government is unitary, multi-party republic with one legislative house, National Assembly 137. Official language is Spanish. Now, let's move on to the basic facts of geography of Ecuador. Total size is 283 and 560 square kilometer. Size comparison is slightly smaller than Nevada. Geographical coordinates is 200 south and 7730 west. World region or continent is South America. General terrain are coastal plain, Costa, Andean Central Highlands, Sierra, and flat to rolling eastern jungle, Oriente. Geographical low point is Pacific Ocean. Geographical high point is Chimborazo. And climate is R, tropical along coast, becoming cooler inland at higher elevations, tropical in Amazonian jungle lowlands. Major cities are Guayaquil, Quito, which is the capital also, and Cuenca. Now let's move on to the basic facts about the people of Ecuador. Languages spoken in Ecuador is Spanish and Amerindian languages. Their Independence Day is 24 May 1882. It is the Independence Day they gained from Spain. Their national holiday is their Independence Day, the independence of Quito, 10 August 1809. Nationality, Ecuadorian. Religion, Roman Catholic 95% and other 5%. National symbol is the Andin Condor. National anthem or song is Salve o Patria. We salute you, our homeland. Then, let's move on to the basic facts of the economy of Ecuador. Major industries are petroleum, food processing, textiles, wood products, and chemicals. Agricultural products are bananas, coffee, cocoa, rice, potatoes, manioc or tapioca, plantains, sugarcane, cattle, sheep, pigs, beef, pork, dairy products, balsa wood, fish, and shrimp. Natural resources are petroleum, fish, timber, and hydropower. Major exports are petroleum, bananas, cut flowers, the rose, which is also the national flower of Ecuador, and the shrimp. Major imports are vehicles, medicinal products, telecommunication equipment, and electricity. Currency is US dollar, USD. National GDP per year is 127 billion and 400,000 million dollar. The national tree of Ecuador is the cinchona tree, which produces a quinine, the first drug used to prevent and treat malaria. So that's the end of the basic facts about the geography, people, and economy of Ecuador. But I figured out that it's a great time for another installment of facts about Ecuador that you might not have known. So let's add more. Okay, Ecuador is the closest country to space. Next is Ecuador is the only country in the world named after a geographical feature. Next is Ecuador has the world's first UNESCO World Heritage Site. At the first UNESCO World Heritage Conference in 1978, 32 sites were in the inaugural list. Each World Heritage Site has a number, and site number 1 is the Galapagos Islands, and number 2 is the city of Quito. Now, next is Ecuador had a long-standing border conflict with Peru. Next is Charles Darwin developed his theory of coral atolls in the Galapagos Islands. The national tree of Ecuador is the cinchona tree, which produces a quinine, the first drug used to prevent and treat malaria. In 2008, Ecuador was the first country to officially recognize the rights of nature. Rather than treating nature as a property, Ecuador recognizes that nature has constitutional rights and has the right to exist, persist, maintain, and regenerate its vital cycles. The summit of Mountain Chimborazo, Ecuador's highest mountain, is the point on Earth closest to the sun. The equator is widely promoted at the tourist attraction Ciudad Meta del Mundo, middle of the world city, 26 km north of the capital, Quito. Guinea pig, known as a koi, is considered a delicacy in Ecuador, its consumption seen as an ancient tradition. Ecuador is the world's largest exporter of bananas, accounting for up to 29% of all bananas exported in 2011. And lastly, Ecuador is divided into four main unique geographic regions: La Costa or the coast, La Sierra or the highlands, La Amazonia, also known as El Oriente or the east, and La Region Insular, the region comprising the Galapagos Islands. So, those are the basic facts and figures of Ecuador. Now let's move on to the flagship carrier of Ecuador. So there are two flag carriers of Ecuador. First is TAME. TAME is a full-service carrier. It ceased operation on 18 May 2020. Its IATA code is EQ. ICAO code is TAE. Main hub is on Quito Mariscal Soccer International Airport, and territory is Ecuador. Address is Línea Era del Ecuador, Avenue Amazonas, N24260, Quito, Pichincha, Ecuador. Transportes Aéreos Militares Ecuatorianos, or TAME, commenced operations in December 1962 and was the flag carrier of Ecuador. TAME was a full-service carrier that provided domestic and international services to countries throughout South America and the Caribbean. TAME also operated to the U.S. In addition to its schedule and services, the carrier provided select charter services to destinations such as the Galapagos Islands, Cuba, and Dominican Republic. TAME was a state-owned enterprise, formerly operated by the Ecuadorian Air Force but was later controlled by the civilian government. The second flag carrier of Ecuador is the Ecuatoriana de Aviación. Its IATA code is EU, ECAO code is EEA, and call sign is Ecuatoriana. It was founded in May 1957 as Compañía Ecuatoriana de Aviación. It commenced operations on August 1957 and it ceased operation on 2006. Its hubs is in Mariscal Soccer International Airport. Focus cities are or is Simon Bolivar International Airport. Frequent flyer program is Leader Club. Its parent company is the VASP 50.1% or the Big Viacao or the Viacao area Sao Paulo Airways, better known as VASP. And its headquarters is on Quito, Ecuador. So those are the two flag carriers of Ecuador that ceased operations. So now let's move on to the top tourist destinations of Ecuador. More than making up for its small size with an array of indigenous cultures, colonial architecture, scenic landscapes, and dense rainforests, Ecuador is one of the most fascinating nations in South America. Bordered by Colombia, Peru, and the Pacific Ocean on the continent's west coast and no larger than U.S. states, this beautiful country of nearly 18 million people attracts tourists from across the globe for a myriad of reasons. For outdoor sports enthusiasts, there are endless climbing and trekking adventures to partake in. For nature lovers, it's Ecuador's lush, ecologically important forests that are big draw, while wildlife watchers will also gravitate to its famous Galapagos Islands. And for sun seekers, Ecuador's pristine tropical beaches are widely considered to be among the best and least spoiled in the world. Once a part of the both Inca and later the Spanish empires, Ecuador still displays many influences from both groups. So these lasting influences are perhaps nowhere more notable than the rich culture of its people and the splendid colonial architecture of the capital city of Quito, much of which has been declared a UNESCO World Heritage Site. To learn more about the lovely South American country, I'm going to give you the list of the best attractions and top things to do in Ecuador. So I can give you 15 top tourist attractions in Ecuador, and I think 15 is more than enough for you to feel amazed. So let's start with the Galapagos Islands. This UNESCO World Heritage Site is home to a unique ecosystem that largely evolved without outside influences. Consequently, a visit to this unspoiled region offers an exceptional opportunity for wildlife viewing. Here, you can see a variety of rare creatures both on land and in the surrounding seas. The Galapagos Island remains one of the most volcanic regions in the world, and the formation of the islands is still in progress. Most of the 13 large islands, 6 smaller islands, and 42 islets that make up the Galapagos were declared part of the Galapagos National Park in the 1950s. The main attraction here are the region's many rare bird species, of which 28 are unique to the islands. These include the Galapagos penguin, flightless cormorant, and wave albatross, along with the 13 species of Darwin's famous finches. One of the top things to do in Quito is to explore Plaza Grande. This beautiful square is surrounded by many important points of interest, including the cathedral, the presidential palace, and the archbishop's palace. It also where you'll find the municipal palace, as well as Cal La Ronda, a buzzing street lined with restaurants, cafes, art galleries, and other entertainment. Next is Cuenca. The beautiful city of Cuenca, officially known as Santa Ana de los Cuatro Rayos de Cuenca, is located in southern Ecuador, home to some 660,000 souls. This picturesque city is a delightful place to visit and explore on foot. Cotopaxi and Cajas National Parks. Highlights of a visit include the opportunity to see its many volcanoes up close. The most remarkable of this is the massive and still active Cotopaxi volcano, with its last eruption as recent as 2015. This massive volcano, along with the smaller Ruminawi and Sinculogua volcanoes, dominates the area's stunning scenery. About 30 kilometers from Cuenca and Ecuador's stunning highlands, Cajas National Park, or Parque Nacional Cajas, offers a very different experience due to its numerous hills and valleys, making it a perfect place to hike and bike. It's also a delight for water sports enthusiasts, particularly kayakers and canoeists, thanks to its more than 270 lagoons and glacier-fed lakes. Finally, Podocarpus National Park, often referred to as the Botanical Garden of America, offers a diverse range of flora and fauna. Located in the southeast part of the country, its humid mountain forests are home to more than 4,000 species of plants and trees. Some of these specimens are as tall as 40 meters, including the famous Chinchona, Ecuador's national tree. Next is the Boardwalk of Guayaquil, Ecuador's largest city in terms of population. The Pacific port of Guayaquil is known as the gateway to the Galapagos Islands. In addition, its many historic sites Guayaquil boasts great shopping and entertainment venues in its many picturesque squares and plazas, as well as along its splendid waterfront. Linares del Diablo, the Devil's Nose. A visit to the stunningly beautiful Linares del Diablo should be in everyone's bucket list. Whether you're a train enthusiast or not, this spectacular part of the Andes Mountains near the town of Alausi is best seen aboard of one of the country's superbly restored railways. Highlights include a fantastic sightseeing trip aboard a train that zigzags through a number of switchbacks as it climbs near the vertical sides of the mountain to the viewing station at its stop. Along the way, you'll have a chance to experience the rich culture of the Andes. Highlights include a visit to the Puñona Condor Museum with its exhibits displays relating to the area's indigenous people. The Hot Springs of Baños. Thanks to its lovely surroundings and numerous hot springs, the small town of Baños de Agua Santa is a popular tourist destination. Otavalo Market. In a pleasant valley surrounded by mountains lies the picturesque town of Otavalo. The town's big draw is its excellent market, one of the largest markets in South America, where locals and tourists alike come to buy colorful locally made rugs and blankets, sweaters, bags, and other wool products made by the indigenous Otavaleños people. 9. Exploring the Amazon's upper reaches in Tana. Highlights here are jungle excursions into the Amazon, along with river journeys, including whitewater rafting and canoeing. The beaches of Salinas, Bahia, and Montañata, whether for a short break from sightseeing or as a base for a longer sand, and sea vacation, you'll be spoiled for choice. Next is Mindo. Mindo offers environmentally conscious travelers the best of two biodiversified ecosystems, the tropical Andes and the Chocoan Lowlands. Kilutalup. Hikers who enjoy trekking through the backcountry surely will enjoy the Kilutalup, a trail that takes visitors through several of Ecuador's remote Andean village. Hiking the loop can take up for 4 days, but can be done in less time if hikers take a bus between points, though they'd be missing out on some ancient trails if they did this. Next is Termas de Papalacta. Papalacta is located approximately 1 to 2 hours east of Quito and holds a surprise you'll want to experience. Here you'll find thermal pools formed as a result of nearby volcanoes. The naturally occurring mix of minerals in the water makes for a soothing, healing soak. Whether your muscles are aching from the hike, you're experiencing jet lag or travel strain, or just enjoy relaxing, a visit to Papalacta is a must. Ingapurca Inca Ruins. Explore the largest set of ancient Inca ruins in Ecuador at Ingapurca, Cuyabino Wildlife Reserve. Enjoy tropical scenery along with spectacular wildlife viewing at the Cuyabino Wildlife Reserve in Ecuador's Amazon region. Included within the confines of the reserve are 8 ecosystems, including watersheds and rainforests. Expect to see a diversity of wildlife and flora here, as it is home to numerous of species of birds, monkeys, fish, and orchids, among others. You may even catch a glimpse of tapirs, anacondas, or alligators. So those are the 15 top attractions of Ecuador. So now let's move on to the gastronomy of Ecuador. In Ecuador, food is an integral part of the culture. no matter where you're from. Traveling to Ecuador is an exhilarating experience. There are beautiful sights to see, fascinating traditions to observe, and most importantly, delicious foods to taste. However, Ecuador isn't as popular of a tourist destination as many other South American countries. But why is that? Ecuador is a country rich in culture, food, and adventures. What many don't realize is just how diverse of a country Ecuador truly is. Ecuador is comprised of four major regions: the Pacific Coast, the Amazon region, the Andes, and the Galapagos Islands. In regards to gastronomy, popular dishes and how they are prepared vary from region to region. However, no matter where you are in Ecuador, the food is always rich, spicy, and full of flavor. So, let's start with gastronomy that is common in Ecuador. Humitas. Humitas are renowned as Ecuadorian comfort food. They are typically made during the colder months and are similar to Mexican tamales. However, humitas have been around since pre-Hispanic times and are slightly different than tamales you may be used to. Humitas are made of corn, eggs, cheese, and cream, and are served wrapped in a corn leaf. Humitas are usually eaten in the morning as breakfast with a glass of fresh fruit juice and a cup of haba coffee. Cangrejada. Seafood is very popular in Ecuador, which could explain why cangrejada is such a common Ecuadorian lunch dish. Cangrejada is a dish made with red mangrove crab that is popular in the coastal regions. Koi. While this dish may be hard for some visitors to comprehend, it is a huge part of Ecuadorian culture. Koi is what Ecuadorians call the South American guinea pig dish that they consider a delicacy. The taste of koi is similar to chicken wings, and many visitors who have tried the dish have enjoyed it. So, paila ice cream. Paila is the word for the skillet that is used to make this scrumptious ice cream. Paila ice cream consists of a pured mixture of sweet fruits and is a traditional dessert in Ecuador. Now let's move on to the gastronomy in different regions. When it comes to gastronomy in Ecuador, every region differs slightly. This is due in part to the geographical locations of each region, as well as the differences in history and culture. Here are the main regions in Ecuador and the gastronomy you can expect to find. The Pacific Coast. Gastronomy in the Pacific Coast of Ecuador is heavily seafood based. Its close proximity to the ocean, as well as the delicious crustaceans that live in the sea of the Pacific Coast, means that you have to love seafood if you visit this region of Ecuador. Shrimp is popular in the area and is often made into soups and stews like al ajelo, ceviche, and biche de camarón. Lobster is either baked with garlic and tomato or incorporated with spaghetti. In addition to delicious and seafood dishes, foods like fried plantains, rice, and coconut milk are everyday staples in the Pacific Coast. Due to its lush and humid environment, the Amazon region of Ecuador has an especially unique gastronomic culture. There are foods available in the Amazon that are either unavailable in other locations or simply much better. One of the region's traditional dishes is stewed guanta. Guanta is a large rodent found in the region, and it is served in a stew with beef, banana, garlic, and rice or potatoes. Chontakoro, a dish made with the koro worm, served with rice. It is also the favorite in the Amazon region. This worm is served with rice and banana and is sometimes eaten alive. Other meats eaten in the area are turtle, monkey, and snakes. Aside from the exotic meats, the unique gastronomy in Ecuador's Amazon region include a plethora of unique fruits. Alaza, cocona, borojo, and chonta are just a few of the kinds of exotic, juicy, and absolutely delicious fruits that make up part of the gastronomy in Ecuador. Now let's move on to the Ecuadorian gastronomy in the Andes. Andean food in Ecuador is probably the most common among tourists. The Andes are known for crops such as potatoes and corn, so the Andean cuisine is based mainly on these foods combined with meat. So before your excursion to the Chimborazo, you can recharge your batteries with these dishes. In the gastronomy of Ecuador, almost all the plates begin with soup. So, I'm going to introduce you to the locro de papa, the most traditional and well-known Andean soup. It is a thick soup made of potatoes, onions, garlic, cumin, cheese, and milk. The soup is simmered until the ingredients are completely cooked and all the cheese melts. Locro de papa is served hot, while with chopped coriander and avocado, especially popular on cold days. Ecuadorian llapingachos. Ecuadorians love cheese. Each region produces its own version, and although many of us will not notice the difference between them, connoisseurs and lovers will surely guess their origin. The appetizer in which cheese plays a key role is the llapingachos. Hornado y fritadas. Fans of specific meat dishes will also find something for them in the Andean region. It is worth recommending the cruel pork dishes such as the hormado and the fritada. The hormado is a marinated pork that is cooked on a wood all night long. People served it with hot chili sauce with potatoes or mold. Fritadas, on the other hand, are pieces of meat cooked in water with orange juice, cumin, onion, and garlic. When the water evaporates, the meat is fried in its own fat. Residents serve it with sweet potatoes, bananas, or corns. And now, lastly, let's move on to the Ecuadorian gastronomy of the Amazon region. The Ecuadorian region of the Amazon offers tourists not only a variety of beautiful and impressive views and an incredible wealth of nature, but also a mass of new flavors and scents. So, if you are hiking in the Cuyabino Reserve, you should try these dishes. Piscayto Maito, one of the most recommended specialties of Ecuadorian food is the maito fish. In the past, this dish was considered a luxury and was only served on special occasions. The locals season it and wrap it in biju leaves, then tie it with strips of tequila straw and bake it directly in the fireplace. The fish can be served, among others, with green banana, yuca, or pan. Chuntacoros. Here comes again the chuntacoro. If you are a person who is not afraid of anything and likes to try unappetizing things, then we have something for you. Chontacoros, one of the most exotic foods in Latin America, are white larvae that can measure 5 centimeters long and 2 centimeters wide. In Ecuador, they are specially known for their healing properties. They are supposed to relieve coughs and asthma and contain a large amount of vitamins A and C. So, those are the popular gastronomy here, or the popular dishes cuisine here in Ecuador, found in different regions. But in addition, it is worth going to the local market and trying the specialties of the street vendors. In Ecuador, people are eating on the streets from morning till night. You will be surprised how many interesting things you will find there. So, that is Ecuador. To summarize, Ecuador has lots of unique things to offer, from its geography, people, tourist attractions, foods, tropical beaches to stunning landscapes, indigenous markets, and historical towns. Home to the arguably the most extraordinary wildlife-filled islands on the planet. Breathtaking peaks and captivating culture, Ecuador brings many. So I hope you had a wide glimpse of Ecuador, and this is where it ends. Thank you for watching.